Hi all, my name is Susie, and I just recently got out of a mental hospital where my brother put me. Are you shocked? Well, I was quite surprised. Richard and I hadn't gotten along well since I was born. I'm 5 years younger than him. Mom and Dad always tried to make sure we were friends, but for reasons I don't understand, Richard was always so aggressive. It got worse when Mom died. I was only 5 years old at the time. My dad told me that she was on her way to meet her friends and had an accident. Since then, Richard and I barely spoke to each other. He started avoiding me, shutting himself in his room while Dad was at work. I was small and I was always drawn to him, but I couldn't understand why he hated me so much. Every day, we stayed with the nanny and the servants. Dad had instructed them all to keep a close eye on us, and he warned them all at once that Richard must not be allowed near me, or to do so only in the presence of an adult. So that's how we grew up. And after Richard went abroad to study at university, we stopped seeing each other altogether. It went on like that for many years. After graduation, Richard came home, but he didn't live in our house. My father got him a job with his law firm. He planned to turn the firm over to my brother. I went to school in my hometown. I was ordinary. I had my friends and hobbies. I hadn't even thought about practicing law. I didn't actually know then that my brother had come back to town. Dad rarely talked about him. Then one day I came home and saw Richard in the living room at the table with Dad. "Richard, you came! I'm so glad. How have you been? You're back for good, right?" Richard looked at me intently from head to toe, but said nothing in response. I had always resented his attitude toward me. I asked my father why Richard disliked me so much, but he said he didn't know either. And I was always afraid to ask my brother directly, probably for a good reason. I pouted and went to my room. I wondered if something had changed in the years he'd been away. I hoped he would have at least missed me, but it turned out that no miracle had happened. Occasionally, Richard would come over to our house to talk business with Dad, but he still wouldn't talk to me. I was at a loss. I had to find out why he treated me this way. What had I done to him that he didn't even want to know me? "Dad, what's going on? Maybe I hurt him when he was little, and he still can't forgive me."
Don't worry, Susie. It's just Richard's personality. He's not much of a talker. That's why he's so unsociable.
"But I want to talk to him. Why does my brother hate me so much?"
Leave it as it is. You have friends, they love you, and I love you. Richard is a complicated man, that's all.
But I knew there was something Dad wasn't telling me. One night, my friends and I were invited to a party. I was so stressed out from the whole weird situation with my brother, and the company was pretty big. I drank more alcohol than I thought I would. My head went cloudy and I felt nauseous. I couldn't face my father like that. He would have killed me. And you know what? I couldn't think of anything better to do than to call Richard. And he came right over. "I'm sorry, Richard. I've had a lot to drink, but I can't go home like this."
You've got to be kidding me. Why did you decide to call me?
"Well, you're my big brother. Can I call you when I'm in trouble?" Richard was silent and looked at me strangely, as if with shame. Well, I thought so. He put me in the car and took me back to his apartment. I fell asleep on the way, so he had to carry me upstairs in his arms. My brother put me on the couch and took my shoes off. I opened my eyes, still terribly drunk. "Richard, why do you hate me so much? It's been bugging me ever since Mom died. Tell me, did I do something to offend you?" He glared at me with such anger that it frightened me a little. He just turned around then and went to his room. He never said another word to me. In the morning, I called a cab and drove home without getting an answer to my question, and with a terrible hangover. I realized I was wasting my breath. You can't force him. If my brother wants nothing to do with me, then so be it. I wasn't going to suffer anymore. The next day, I was on my way back from school and saw an ambulance outside my house. My heart just dropped. What had happened? Scary thoughts began to swirl around in my head. I ran into the house, up the stairs. There were doctors and my brother in my father's bedroom. It turned out that Dad had gotten sick. A heart attack, another one after Mom died. I had heard the doctors tell Dad before that he wasn't supposed to worry and that he would not survive another heart attack. Richard was standing beside my father, slumped, staring at the floor.
Susie, honey, come here. I want you to know that if anything happens to me, you can always count on Richard. I've already given him all the instructions. Son, we had a deal, didn't we? Yes, Dad. I'll always help my sister if she's in trouble. And I won't leave her alone.
Dad, don't say that. The main thing is not to worry and to rest a lot.
Honey, I want to talk to Richard alone. We have some business to discuss. Go to your room. You'll be fine.
I went out and shut the door carefully. Before I left the room, I heard something that shocked me.
You're old enough not to blame Susie anymore. You understand that, don't you, son?
Yes, Dad, I do, but I can't help my emotions.
You have to deal with it. She's too young to know the truth. You, as an elder brother, should be a support for her. I'm trying. I thought leaving would help me stifle my anger and resentment, but I still can't. I stood and listened, unable to move. So there was a reason for Richard's attitude. What went on in the first place? I couldn't hear the rest of the conversation. My dad's assistant came into the room. I went to my room and decided, at all costs, to find out the whole truth, even if it meant pushing my brother against a wall. Dad recovered slowly. The doctor said it was because of his age. He couldn't recover as fast as he used to, and the constant work stuff and flying around was causing him stress. But I knew it was because Richard and I didn't get along. One day I went to my brother's house because he just avoided me as much as he could. I burst in on him and started talking to him from the doorstep. Richard, I heard your conversation with Dad. What were you talking about? What am I not supposed to know? Why is Dad forcing you to communicate with me? And why don't you want to? Susie, I have a lot to do. Yes, my head is spinning. While Dad is sick, everything's fallen on me. Go home.
No, you and I will settle our differences tonight. I'm not a little girl anymore. You have to tell me.
I don't owe you anything. You're just a stupid, spoiled brat.
And you're the worst brother anyone could ever have. If you don't tell me what the matter is, I'm not going anywhere.
Susie, don't do this. I'm not in the mood to discuss anything with you. Go home.
I hate you. You're always pushing me away. I'm your little sister, but you act like a monster toward me.
Am I the monster? No, Susie, you're the monster. If it wasn't for you, Mom would still be alive.
He shouted those words in my face. I fell to the floor. Then I blacked out. I saw myself sitting in the back seat of the car with Mom in front, driving. She was singing a song to me. We were driving somewhere. I'm holding my favorite toy, Dolly the sheep. I'm having so much fun. My mom's voice is so tinkly and cheerful. I start clapping my hands and Dolly the sheep falls out of my hands under the seat. I start crying loudly. Mom turns to me and tries to pick the toy up off the floor, but she fails. Suddenly, I hear the screeching of brakes and a bang, so strong it makes my ears pop. And then, only fragments of sounds. A siren, someone's unfamiliar voice, bright lights, a hospital room. I woke up in tears, and with a clear answer. I killed our mother. Now I understood why Richard had hated me for so long. He blamed me too. He knew I was to blame for Mom's death. The realization and the memories that surfaced made me start crying and screaming. I felt like I was going crazy. The pain was all over me. Richard ran into my room at the screams. He looked at me with glassy eyes and didn't know what to do, and I kept screaming and couldn't stop. Why? How had I forgotten the day of that tragedy? If I only remembered. It turns out that my mother died because of me, and all these years I'd lived an ordinary life, without guilt. And Richard? Poor Richard. What was it like for him to look at me and realize he was facing his mother's murderer?
Susie, stop it. Don't cry. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to tell you, but you drove me to it.
All his words were drowned in a flood of screams. I just didn't listen to him. I wanted this nightmare to end. I remember how the doctors came. They injected me with something, and I fell back into sleep. My mother was in front of me, telling me that it wasn't my fault. It was just an accident. She hugs me and wants to comfort me. I'm so guilty, Mom. I woke up to a ray of sunlight shining on my face. The white room is so quiet and peaceful. I am used to my days passing like this one. After that tantrum, Richard put me in a psychiatric hospital for treatment. The doctor said I had severe shock and my brain couldn't handle it on its own. That's where I got a lot of help. I went to therapy every other day. They helped me realize that it wasn't my fault my mom died. Today was my last therapy visit, and I was going home. Richard came to see me every day. He actually came to see me. Dad was on the mend and started visiting me too. My brother told me that when Mom died, he thought I'd made it all up about the memory loss, and he blamed me for not wanting to tell the truth. His hatred for me had been inside him all those years. It wasn't until he saw my reaction to what he said that he realized it was just as painful for me as it was for him. I realized that not only did I lose my mother, but so did you. I'm sorry I was such a fool. Forgive me. I understand you, Richard. I blamed myself too when I remembered everything. I lost so many years communicating with my little sister. We were supposed to get through this grief together, but I was an idiot. But it's going to be okay now. I'm so glad that you and I have finally talked things over.
Now, let's go home. We have a lot of catching up to do, and Dad's waiting at our house. Now we're all going to live together.
Tell me, guys, did you like my story? Write your opinion about it in the comments below the video. Don't forget to like it, share the video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel.